Hello, everyone. This is Ernie Humphrey, the CEO of Treasury Webinars. I would like to welcome everyone to our webinar today, Owning Your Cash Conversion Cycle, the evolving role of technology. To me, owning the cash conversion cycle should be the main endeavor of anyone who works in Treasury. I think we're starting to see much more attention to this. And one of the things that we'll do today is I want to review some of the results from a survey that I just worked on with APQC that shows how Treasury leaders are measuring success. And I think we need to do a little better job of defining what success looks like in Treasury. And then, of course, we'll take a deep dive into how your company can own your cash conversion cycle. And so there's some differences across companies as far as whether or not AP and AR report up through Treasury. As a Treasury leader in my ideal world, I would like to have AP and AR report up through Treasury, because you really need to have visibility and to be able to control, right, all the actions. So what are we talking about here? We want to control how and when we make payments and how and when we get paid. And so to me, that's our key endeavor. Before we get started, a few words about Treasury webinars, and then we'll cover a few housekeeping items, and then we'll share our learning objectives, as they are my promise to you of what you'll get out of the webinar for investing an hour of your valuable time with me and sitting through another virtual meeting. I know we all have a little bit of Zoom fatigue and maybe even webinar fatigue, but don't worry. Those of you that have heard me speak before know I do my best to keep things entertaining and exciting, and we have a lot of ground to cover. So I would encourage you to reach out to me and let me know if you'd like to have a copy of today's presentation. Also, you'll have access to the webinar recording. At Treasury Webinars, we offer webinars designed to empower Treasury, AP, and AR success at companies of all sizes across all industries. We only do what we do best, which now includes full-blown virtual events. Now for the exciting housekeeping items. For anyone interested in receiving CTP credits for today's webinar, you'll have to answer all the polling questions, remain on for the duration of the webinar, and take the short survey, which will launch immediately at the conclusion of the webinar. If you have any questions regarding CTP credits or would like a copy of today's presentation, please send an email to Ernie@treasurywebinars.com. Again, that's Ernie@treasurywebinars.com. Again, I appreciate everyone's consideration in taking the short survey at the end of the webinar today, as we always strive to improve the ROI we offer our event attendees for their valuable time. More important than ever, given how many virtual events people are attending these days. So what's going to be our agenda? So we're going to start off at a high level. Again, I really want to talk about what Treasury success looks like and how you deliver that. And a big part of that will be owning your cash conversion cycle. And then we'll take a little bit of a dive into the cash conversion cycle in the coronavirus, some of the impacts that we've seen, and some of the impacts that we're going to continue to see. So a lot of us haven't even made our way back into work yet, and I don't think that's going to change. And I think always going forward, we need to be able to empower Treasury success in any environment, whether that's remote, in the office, or what I think most people will be in is a hybrid environment. So then as we talk about how to own your cash conversion cycle, what does that mean? We have to endeavor to have AP done right. We'll talk about that. What does that look like? We'll talk about accounts receivable done right. We'll talk about what that looks like. And then we'll talk about cash forecasting done right. Obviously, that's incredibly important for us, but I think in Treasury, we put too much emphasis on that as a success metric. Cash forecasting helps us make better decisions in some ways. And at some companies, that accuracy is not really impacting decisions, not that it's not important. And so cash forecasting is a vehicle to make better decisions. It is not a better decision, and it does not impact our bottom line. It does not impact our productivity, and so we need to take another look at that. And then we'll wrap things up with some recommendations for action, which I still don't see often in webinars, and I always do my best to give you some actionable advice to add more value with your company. So let's go ahead and really dive into how do you achieve Treasury success. And some of you have seen this before, and you're going to continue to see this because this is really important to me and to the Treasury profession, because I think we need to focus on how we deliver success, right? Instead of just, reporting what happened, right? Let's talk about why it happened, right? How we could do it better rather than what happened. So the big thing that we still struggle with in Treasury across the globe is defining Treasury success. What does that look like? And that could be different for your company. And if you haven't done that yet, or you haven't done that yet for 2021, I strongly encourage you to do that, right? What does success look like at your organization? Part of being able to do that and managing that success is you need to understand the skills of your Treasury team. and you need to take an honest look in the mirror, right? And say, okay, these are the skills of my team right now. These are the skills that my team needs to deliver success or meet and beat expectations and our goals, right? And then we have to identify what those gaps are in the skill sets. And so how are we going to fill those gaps? Are we going to train people up? Do we want to hire some new folks in our team? I prefer the first option. My ideal world is when my treasury team has a diverse skill set, and then I empower my team to cross train each other. And so the dynamics of your team are incredibly important. We have taken a deep dive in that in other webinars about what skills matter, and we're going to be having future webinars in December about that as well. So you also need to understand, right, your current systems. At a lot of companies, the technology stack really inhibits control of the cash conversion cycle. One of the biggest hurdles in my mind, I'm going to say it, is visibility. And so we need visibility into all AP practices, all AR practices, all communications with all parties that matter. And of course, we need that visibility into our bank accounts. And so we need to understand what is the technology that we have, what is the technology that we need, and then we need to prioritize, right, what we want versus what we need. So part of that is identifying the technology gaps, right? And again, assessing our needs and then seeing what the economics of that look like. I think I can say without a doubt that the economics of adopting technology today are incredibly more compelling than they were even 2 or 3, 4 years ago. Back when I started in Treasury, probably 20 years ago, technology was actually a competitive advantage, not only for large corporations in Treasury, but also a competitive advantage in how they deliver value to their customers. But I will say this, any company of any size in any industry should be able to have best-in-class Treasury, AP, and AR. And so if you really look at that in the right lens, I think you'll find that as well. One of the things that I think we need to do, and across the office of the CFO, is we need to understand the time spent on non-value add activities. So I don't think we have metrics, right? So it's this is important. Maybe cash forecasting is important. How much time do we spend on analyzing the variance, right? How much time are we spending putting the forecast together, data, cleaning data? So those are non-value add activities. How much time do we spend on analysis? That's important. So we need to take a look at what that is. And oftentimes when we start to look at the time that we spend on non-value add activities, we probably fall out of our chair. But what a lot of CFOs find and treasurers find is that there is an inherent productivity drag across the office of the CFO just because of the time we spend on non-value add activities. And some of that can be mitigated by technology. So the root cause of a lot of inefficiencies from what I've seen, companies of all sizes across the globe is in that technology stack. A key point there is, in my mind, once you get your company into the cloud, I think that really opens things up in terms of your technology stack. So I think obviously we've seen tremendous adoption in cloud-based applications. I think that really started kind of two areas. One, the obvious one will be CRM with Salesforce, but back in probably 2010, we started to see cloud ERP systems, and then we started to see FP&A, and then always a little bit of a laggard. I think we actually saw AP out first, then we started to see cloud TMS, and we have cloud-based AR, and so you can do that at HR systems. It's pretty compelling, but that's another webinar, right? To be successful, you should take again that good look, assess your current relationship with internal treasury customers and external treasury partners. And so we should use those as metrics of success. So who are our internal customers within the company? Maybe our external customers, they could be the board, right? They could be HR, they could be marketing. If you're treasury, they could be finance. And so let's take a look at those. Let's see how we can do better, but also our external treasury partners as well. So I like to say that we should have bank scorecards, but I think we should ask our banks, how are we doing as a customer? And our service providers, right, our technology providers, how can we help them, right, help make us better? So what I've continued to see throughout my career, someone buys this really neat technology, and then their partner goes and hides. It's not quite as bad with the subscription model, but I still see it. You'll see customer success titles all over the board. So if I was doing an RFP or having an interview or taking a demo, I would say, what does customer success mean to you? How are you going to support my success, right, after we implement this? How are you going? Because if you do the right thing in terms of technology, it can be career defining. if you make a mistake on something as big as an ERP system or even a treasury management solution or APR, it can really derail your career. So it's incredibly important. What we want to do is we want to collaborate with AP to take more control of payments, right? Maybe they report up to Treasury, collaborate with AR to take more control of receipts. Again, Treasury success to me, there's other pieces of it, but if you own that cash conversion cycle, to me, that is the top priority. Obviously, we need to balance that with risk management, which we can talk about as well. And we need to invest in relationships, and everybody who listens to me knows I've been really focusing on this as well in the past couple of years. We need to focus on those internal relationships within and beyond Treasury. We need to collaborate. We need to communicate, right? And how do we do that? With technology, right? The first step is communicate, then we collaborate, and we leverage that. We do that with technology, and technology gives us more time to do that. And then externally, we need to invest in our relationships as well. Supplier relationships matter from Treasury and Finance. We impact supplier relationships from Treasury and Finance. We impact customer relationships. We impact banks and service providers. We control, in some sense, the value that we get out of our relationships and the way that we're treated by our customers. So one of the things that we've learned in COVID is we need to do a better job of communicating authentically and honestly, but also we should reset on our expectations at least quarterly, if not monthly. So in terms of Treasury performance, these are my top 7. We need a performance management framework. What does success look like, right? What are the drivers of success? And then what levers do we pull to those drivers? Say to metric, right? People skills, have collaboration, have to have visibility. You can't manage what you can't see. We have to have the data, right? And you have to help others get the data they want when they need it. You have to know what you need and when you need it. Of course, we talked about technology, and then control and influence. And control and influence, you need to have it where you need it and when you need it. So even though AP and AR might not report up to you, we need to be able to influence, right, what's going on and collaborate with them. If they report up to us, then we have control, right? So control what we can control, and that includes our risk exposure. So let's take a little bit of a look. I mentioned the survey I worked on with APQC. There is a hyperlink there down in the footer there, delivering Treasury success in the next normal survey. So just a few things impacts your Treasury success, the visibility that you have, right? And so this is important, extent of visibility for Treasury into all of these areas, AP, AR, related processing activities. I would say the better your visibility, the more control you're going to be able to have on your cash conversion cycle. And so I apologize, that is a little bit blurry. I think I made the picture too big there. But what you'll see is it's fairly encouraging. It's about the same between AP and AR, but I would like to see more in the ideal phase. But if you look at it, right, we still have like 42% of folks, right? It's only decent. And so there's really no reason for that in today's world. And that can be a huge inherent barrier to success. Those of you who manage cash, you know the challenges in just getting visibility into those bank accounts, right? And we need to understand what happened, but AP and AR tell us why it happened. And that's what really allows us to do a better job of controlling that cash conversion cycle. Where are the opportunities for us to get better? And then how can we do that? And so in terms of data, one of the things we looked at, again, we talked about metrics. This was pretty encouraging to me. We asked folks the extent to which Treasury has the data needed to assess cash management effectiveness, and we had 74% of the people agree or strongly agree. I think that's a little bit more optimistic than I would have expected. Again, sometimes I don't think we quite have the right way to look at cash management effectiveness quite yet. And then the systems needed to assess cash management effectiveness, I was really kind of floored by this one. Over 70% agree or strongly agree. And I should have asked you guys, this is a polling question too, but I would be shocked if I asked this question face to face and I challenge someone, do you really agree that you have I hope that you do, but from the hundreds of Treasury professionals I talk to every year, it's not quite that optimistic, but interesting results. Nonetheless, again, a key driver of success is technology. What percentage of your bank accounts do you have visibility? It'd be nice if I had the ledger on there a little smaller. And what we found, the top is only 15% of the folks have access to all of their bank accounts. on a daily basis. And so you can't manage what you can't see. And 27%, I believe, is 75 to 100%, and then 50 to 75. Yeah, sorry, 50 to 75, 25 to 50, and then 3% have less than that. So we should aspire to have that on a daily basis. Again, the more exposures that you have, right, in terms of FX, and then whether or not you're a net borrower, that's going to have a great impact on that. And then we talked about collaboration, some results from the survey. Again, I'm pretty happy, pretty optimistic. Collaboration between Treasury, AP, and AR. Again, we need to have this to own that cash conversion cycle. So ideal and good, that's 64%, but we still have 34%, right? So I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. We work with others to better understand the hows and whys of all cash flows, inflows and outflows. We had 80% agree or strongly agree, and to me that seems just a little bit optimistic. I think that's really important. To me, I would have a meeting as the Treasury leader to talk to everyone that has an impact, right, on that cash conversion cycle, and then make sure that we all understand the hows and whys of inflows and outflows. And then I'd also include my sales team in there as well, and let them know the impacts, like when they want to give away terms, the value of the relationships, and then with my procurement team as well. So an opportunity for everyone to understand the dynamics, right, and the opportunity costs of these different dimensions of cash conversion cycle. And then we talked about control was important as well. It's kind of good to see that so many of folks have a Treasury policy. And then how much is it complied with? Well, little to none and somewhat. So most people, look at 90% of the folks only say they're somewhat compliant. And so why have it, right, if you're not using it? So we should communicate that policy. We had policies when I worked in Treasury. I will confess that I didn't always review those every single quarter and make sure they were complied with, but they need to be communicated first, but more importantly, they need to be adhered to. Otherwise, they're not worth anyone's time in having. It's not just an audit tool, it's a way to improve the value of Treasury, right? And then this is cool to me. This is a really compelling question. I'm glad we asked it. Rate the extent of control and influence your department has in the following areas of your organization. So this is important to owning the cash conversion cycle, but also in kind of taking that look in the mirror, right? How much strategic value does Treasury have? Do we have that seat at the table? What are other Treasury departments able to accomplish? And then how do we get there? And so we have Treasury technology. I wish more of us had direct control. I'd expect that to be higher, but you see, AP, it's good to see 37% direct control. Operational risk management, I think I should have put financial risk management, but I think that would be higher. I'd like to see us have more control of data integrity and accounts receivable. FP&A, I thought we'd be a little bit higher. Of course, we've been hearing from our friends at the AFP for the last 5 years or so how FP&A is reporting up through Treasury. I don't think we're really seeing it yet. Not that I don't think it should happen, and it will happen. And then company strategy, I was really, really happy to see that 29% of the survey, people that took the survey had that direct control. So a little background on the survey, we had a really good mixture of survey responses in terms of industry and company sizes, and usually have a little bit of trouble on the enterprise side, but we really had quite a good mix of folks that fell into the I would say the larger mid markets and the enterprise size companies, and then some smaller companies. So I'm pretty comfortable that we've got some good results. And the APQC does a much deeper dive on the survey results, so you can look at it by industry and company size. So if you have an interest in taking a look there, this is one of my favorite slides here. So control and influence, right? What do we have? Where would we like to be? How are we going to get there? But then what's the value to our organization? So if I'm the treasurer, what's the value to me, right? As I talk to 2021 with my CFO, and I say these are areas that I think we're having an impact. This is where we can have more of an impact, and this is why, and this is the value that we can bring, and this is the technology that we need. Coronavirus is actually an opportunity for folks to get investment in technology, because many CFOs are much more open because they've been impacted, right, by this remote reality, working from home, trying to work with colleagues from home. And I think they've all realized that this is going on so long, it's not going anywhere. So we can't put band-aids on our problems anymore. any weaknesses that we had in terms of operations, AP, AR, and risk as well, and payments risk, those were all magnified. And so now is your opportunity to win that investment where maybe in past years you'd have thought, I'm not going to get the ear of the CFO. Many of you probably have it more than you'd like to. You were probably sending daily or weekly receipts and cash forecast to your CFO, at least, or if you're not the CFO, the treasurer, you were sending those to the treasurer every day. So let's do a little bit talk about the coronavirus, and again, a little cash conversion cycle, basic, but I like this. It just shows the dynamics, right? The cash, the accounts payable, inventory, the churn there. So you want to control how and when you pay. It's AP done right, when and how you get paid, AR done right, and then optimizing the amounts of timings and inflows and outflows, and that can be an endeavor, especially if you're a global corporation. Those intercompany flows can get a little tricky. I had a lot of trouble getting visibility into those, but that was a while ago, and so we need to endeavor to do that. Just some interesting results from a survey delivered by the Treasury Coalition, which Treasury Webinars is proud to be a partner of. Now we're doing a global crisis monitor survey. Before we were doing a weekly survey kind of back in March and April. So if you haven't gone to treasurycoalition.com, or if you haven't taken the survey, it's really easy. It takes like 5 minutes. It's been really helpful to myself and a lot of Treasury and finance leaders I've talked to, just to get bearings, right? What are we seeing? What are we doing? What are others seeing? Are we looking at the right things? And where are we going? So just some interesting things to look at. Access to liquidity, down on the bottom, second to the bottom, you see week 1, it was 4th. People were like, oh, this coronavirus, it might not last that long. But then as we get out to that first 30 days, right? And then I start to say, uh-oh, what about my AR forecast? So that's incredibly important. I think it's been good for us. I think all of us have attended AR webinars this year, and I think that's great. So I think it's gotten a lot of the attention that it deserves. And I think companies are realizing that we can have an impact here, but we need to do it in the right way. As far as country preparedness, where you stand depends on where you sit. Access to liquidity, again, it wasn't so high right out of the gate. So it's just very interesting to see the dynamics. Business continuity plan completeness right out of the gate. Everyone was like, uh-oh, but then I think we all have gotten a little comfortable with that, but just interesting. So just also wanted to give you something to think about and give you access to survey results. With me as a practitioner, I was always fascinated by the survey results, and they were always incredibly insightful to me. But also now a lot of survey pages will let you dig in on the demographics, and then more important to all of us is just we look at some of the revenue impacts. And so as we've gone farther along, I think people have pushed out what they think in terms of expectations as far as what their company will see in terms of revenue. And I know we had a really good third quarter GDP number. I think it was 7.4%, and I'm very happy about that, but I think that's a little bit misleading. So for me, I am an amateur economist. I have a master's degree in economics. For me, I would see that the majority of companies aren't going to see really that revenue even get back to where it was before. Of course, there's exceptions, but probably Q3 2021. Also don't expect live events to come back the way that they were ever in 2021, maybe 2022. So I think that's changing. Where you stand depends on where you sit. Again, it's just interesting, on those dynamics. And so the change, from period to period. So if we look at the last period to this period, we saw more people. We pushed out into Q2 2000. Actually we had a little bit of a positive tick, but in my mind, we're going to see that Q3, right? It's going to take until Q3 until we see that return to revenue, what we had. And some of us may not ever return there. It depends on what industry you're in. I like these sentiments just because these are things that we should be paying attention to. The Treasury, and it's related to the cash conversion cycle, right? Counterparty risk, that's AR. We have data issues, counterparty risk management, right? Our suppliers and our banks. Of course, this is our sweet spot, interest rate, commodity, and foreign exchange. So it just shows that these elements are of importance. Again, where you stand depends on where you sit, but it's pretty interesting. Those of you that work in the AR space, this is an amazing report. The hyperlinks at the bottom, I apologize that it's so small. Just really interesting from D&B. So just kind of, you can really level set yourself. So it looks by industry, right? Who's paying current up to 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and it shows the industries that are having the most trouble. Not that you want to be on any side of the 60 to 90 or 91, but you can at least see where you sit and why. And then you can also take a look and benchmark yourself. So benchmarks are incredibly important, and those things are definitely changing. Especially since maybe February or March of this year. And a lot of us would do well to realign on our metrics. Hopefully you're hitting your metrics and beating them in terms of AP and AR, DSO, DPO, CCC. But for some companies, it's just not possible given the dynamics of your customers. And so this is, again, someone always told me, I under promise and over deliver. So again, we have a lot of content here. So again, let me know if you'd like to see a copy of the slides. Let's get into AP done right. Everyone is just so disappointed that I haven't asked a polling question. So let's go ahead and ask our first polling question here. Just hoping you'll share with me where your company's at in terms of automating accounts payable. Maybe you're just starting, you're currently evaluating, you have your short list of AP automation vendors, you already have it in place, or you don't know. Hopefully those of you who have not even really started the process yet, we will inspire you to do so, or from past webinars, I will have inspired you to at least take a good look and have a deep dive. I know inherently we might think it's not the right time to be looking to adopt technology, but I've seen some amazing results. I have seen companies go to an AP automation solution. It wasn't Microsoft, but it was a mid-market company. They were up and running in 3 days. So that is possible. Again, it depends on what effort you put into it going in. So if you do the work up, be pretty seamlessly up or so. Take a and then we'll dive into AP done right. So I'm going to give you 5-second warning. 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, people are still voting. I'll give you a couple more seconds. All right, let's go ahead and close. Let's go ahead and share the results. Okay, good that we've got some of you in the discovery phase and currently evaluating AP solution providers. So hopefully we're going to give you some information here to help you do that in a more robust fashion. We have much content about how to go through that process. So please reach out to me if you want more information about that. Implementation or have it in place. And so those of you implementing, make sure that you are getting all of the possible ways to impact the bottom line, that you have it turned on, everything turned on, and that you know how to look and make sure your people are leveraging it. 27%, I don't know. Oh, what am I going to say? I'm going to say you should probably find out, right? So that's your homework for me. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to answer the polling question. So I've enjoyed having a front row seat to watching the evolution of accounts payable and speaking about it, maybe a little more than I ever thought I would in my lifetime, but it's actually been fun. So, you know, where you stand depends on where you sit, but we talked about, have you automated AP? These are all the things from that a lot of companies, what we're seeing, a great study by Ardent Partners that shows expansion of duties, where companies are going, right? They're going to be more involved in customer service. I mean, suppliers as the customers, fraud and compliance, right? They need full knowledge of the whole P2P process, right? Let them focus on strategic activities, analytics and business intelligence. Now, if you'd have told me 10 years ago that AP would be focused in analytics and business intelligence, I probably would have given you a strange look. I do that at times. 65% are more involved, right, in payments, and that's good, right? There's more of a consideration on how payments are being made, right, and discounting opportunities. And then supplier relationship management, this should be 100%. And so one of the reasons I show this is because it's really interesting, but also just to kind of show you all the different areas where AP can add strategic value, right? And these are ways to deliver success. These are the skills that I would look for in my AP team and my Treasury team. And to be honest with you, you need interpersonal skills, relationship building skills. I'm very good friends with Mike Richards, who is the leader globally in terms of Treasury recruiting. I ask him all the time, what skills do people want, even for the big treasurer jobs? I talk to CFO recruiters, interpersonal skills, relationship building. It's not about the controller skills. You have to be able to communicate and collaborate, and you have to know how to empower people to impact performance. Again, you need to have effective communication. I think we've all had to learn on the digital side, some of us the hard way, but we need to be versed in verbal, written, and oral. We need to be able to, there's an art to storytelling. So if you've never looked into that, you should do that. I should have put listening on there. Everyone who knows me is like, you don't listen very well. Now you're right. I need to get better with that. You have analytical abilities. I said problem solving. Again, leadership, and leadership means you can lead a team, but also be on a team as well and be a teammate. So most people can't do both. You need to have a spirit, a passion for learning. That's another thing I've heard from many CFOs as doing podcasts. If someone has a passion for learning, I will hire them and teach them, right? I can't really teach people to have a passion for learning. Learning is a way of life. And then someone that has an appetite, right, to think like the CEO. Now you got to be brave to do that. Because in my past life, I was thinking like the CEO, and I got my head smacked down like whack-a-mole a couple times. But if that happens at your company, you should work somewhere else, right? If you have a knowledge of relevant industries, competitive and regulatory dynamics, you're going to be valuable to your company, whether that's AP, you can go up to AR, finance, you can go anywhere across your company if you have the knowledge of what success looks like and why. And if you have the ambition, you can find out. People will be happy to tell you. That's called networking, building your professional brand at work. Happy to have a conversation with you about that as well. AP success, again, I think we've seen this before. It's the same framework, right? So I'm going to kind of fly through this, but you can apply my delivering success in any area of your business. You have to say what success looks like, right? What are the skills that we have? What are the skills that we need? What are the systems that we have? What are the systems that we need? How do we optimize our time? And then again, have the same framework, right? A little different here. Understand the impact of AP actions on supplier relationships. The tone and tenor of those relationships matter. Now you have to be careful. I talk about this as well. A lot of us would like to have all of our suppliers go on ghost cards and virtual cards and make us rebates, but we shouldn't force that on our suppliers, and that can really damage our relationships. So let's make sure that makes sense for our suppliers, that they understand the costs and benefits of doing that. They understand the costs and benefits to us for doing that. For some companies, it makes more sense to go from check. Maybe you go from check to ACH. That can be incredibly powerful. Now, I wouldn't so I've also just completed a payment survey where I've asked people that have signed up for these ghost and virtual card programs, was the program successful as advertised? And I believe the percentage was way less than 50%. So let's a little buyer beware there. And AP is not a profit center. I had to say it. So don't, oh yeah, never mind. That gets my dander up a little bit. You want to collaborate with procurement and treasury to take more control of payments. And then in terms of the technology side, right, this is what you're looking for on the P2P side. I came up with this, the COVID collaborative technology, simplify communications around invoices, and take into account also your approvers, right, and your suppliers. Let's remove asymmetries of information. I was in Treasury. I had to approve everything. When we made an acquisition, I had to look at every single invoice and approve it. I'm not lying for weeks. And so if I could have done that online, that would have been amazing. Game changer. We want online accessibility. Right now, that's almost critical. On visibility tools, right? We need to see the entire process, invoice activity, statuses, ownership. This lets us figure out where we can do better in the accountability. And a lot of there's some AI going on out there that learns your suppliers and accounting process. Our poor friends in accounting, how about we automate some of the GL code assignments? Wouldn't that be nice? And then we have to have that diligence to our internal controls and proactively mitigate fraud and compliance risk. And some of those things we can do by embedding our policies into technology. And then we need to have that audit trail, and then segregation of duties. And one of the great things that I see about technology is I used to have auditors crawling over my desk all the time. Wouldn't I have loved to just told my internal audit friends or my friends at one of the big four, here's the system, go for it. I'm not going to dig through a drawer of AP invoices and follow this transaction all the way from A to Z and fly you to the person that got the invoice. We don't have to do that anymore. So the bottom line for AP success, commit to understanding new AP challenges that have arisen and will arise in the remote reality. They're not going away. Have a customer service-led mentality for AP relative to all parties involved, right? That includes your people that are approvers, your procurement, treasury. So if you've never done this, you should have your process just laid out in painstaking detail. And let's understand the time being spent. And you can, I about guarantee you, if you look at technology, you can find ways to make the process less painful and remove that productivity drag. You should position AP to add value across the enterprise. One of the first slides, I've shown different areas that AP is going into. You should facilitate collaboration between AP and key stakeholders, again, who are our internal customers, and then invest in the technology you need, right, with the provider you deserve. So let's expect more of our providers. They have to earn your business. It's a subscription business. Customer success, right? What does that look like? Let's talk about that. I want my solution provider reaching out to me every quarter and asking me, how are we doing? How are your metrics doing? How are your users liking our software? Or they might go to this level. Hey, I see you guys are processing less invoices. Why don't you tell me why? What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? That's incredibly powerful. And there are providers out there that do that. So let's talk about AR done right. So everyone is like, oh, I am waiting for the second polling question. So let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit to the AR side. So just as in the AP side, asking you to share with me where your company's currently at in terms of automating AR. Maybe you're just starting discovery phase, you're evaluating solutions, you have a short list, you're doing it, or you've got it in place, or you don't know. So I appreciate everyone's consideration in answering all of our polling questions. Those of you interested in receiving CTP credits for today's webinar, you'll have to answer all our polling questions and also stay on for the duration of the webinar and answer our short survey at the conclusion of the webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the polling question up for another 10 or 15 seconds. Then we're going to take a quick peek at the results, and then we'll go through the same process, right? So let's use our process for how to deliver AR success. Let's take a look at what AR success looks like, and then how technology lets us achieve that AR success. So what we're going to do by the end of the webinar, we're going to be able to see how can technology empower me to take more control, right, over how and when I get paid, right, and how and when I make payments. That control is going to give you ownership of that cash conversion cycle, and that's going to allow you to deliver much more value from the Treasury Department at your company. So let's go ahead and close polling question here. Thank you everyone for answering the question. Looks like we're pretty similar. I mean, I'm not surprised, and I would hope that we are having a technology conversation from the office of the CFO, at least from the CFO. Okay, where are we at in terms of our technology for Treasury and AP and AR, right? So let's be looking at this as a stack rather than, oh, this is the AR, this is the AP, and then this is the Treasury, because there's a lot of synergy that goes on there. There are some sweet solutions out there. I have not seen a sweet solution yet. In all honesty, I'm very versed in this. That's really best in breed in AP, AR, and Treasury just yet. Not that it won't happen. Me, I'm a best of breed shopper because I am a mid-market Treasury practitioner at heart. So pretty consistent starting the discovery phase. I don't know, 26%. Now you got 2 pieces of homework. Those of you that already have it in place, let's take a look and see if you're getting your money's worth. Again, you can switch. If you're not, you should hold your providers accountable and get them to help you communicate success to your internal stakeholders. So thank you so much, everyone. So let's go ahead. Again, we've been through this before. Third time's a charm, right? What are we going to do? What is AR success? What does that mean? What does it look like? We have webinars on that in our archive about what are the metrics, what do the dashboards look like. So if you want more information on that, just let me know. Got to understand the skills, right, of your AR team. We also, part of that means we need to make sure we're not working in silos, right, between collections and, that dispute that. So we need to make sure that all the pieces there, we'll talk about that in a moment. Again, we got to look at the skill gap, the technology gap, and then we got to make sure we're looking at that time allocation, understand our internal relationships, understand the impact of our actions on customer relationships. Man, people used to tell me all the time, you Treasury and finance impacts customers. I'm like, no, we don't. The customer experience, actually you do. Especially we're finding that out during COVID. Every interaction matters, every tone matters, every interaction with the customer should have a goal, and you should be reporting on it. Sales needs to see what you're doing when you're talking to customers. I didn't believe that when I was in Treasury, but now I'm a huge proponent of that. Let sales in. Sales needs to understand, right? They can't be the hero every time. So let's all be aware of the dynamics of the relationship. If there's something that's going to happen, right, we need to have open and honest communication from our customers. So when COVID hit, I'm hoping we all had a call, maybe our CFO with our key accounts. How are things going for your company, right? Are you going to be able to pay? If not, okay, when can we see something different? Instead of getting nailed with it. So maybe you're like, this company always pays within 20 days. Huh, it's been 60 days. I haven't heard from that yet. I wonder why. Well, if you'd have called them and you'd have nudged them, they might have been able to pay you in 45 days. You may have been able to nudge the terms and get back to your normal terms. I was always told once you give it away, you can't get it back. However, I don't think that's the case, especially now with COVID. You want to take control with the Treasury route. We want to control those receipts and invest in those relationships. We need to be more mindful of AR and the customer experience. Let's educate everyone. Again, just kind of bullet points of what I just said. We need visibility into all interactions within and across departments, right? Let's get that visibility going. We need to have the ability to manage disputes in one place. I'm amazed when I see metrics on how much time is spent every day in AP and AR with disputes. Often they're caused by asymmetry of information, or we see the same disputes over and over and over. To me, that makes no sense. So let's work on those relationships. Why did this happen? What can I do for you to make sure this doesn't happen again? If this is going to happen again, is there a way you can let me know so I can get my cash forecast right? And then the cool thing to communicate is supporting AP professionals at your customers means your company's AR efficiency and effectiveness. So we have to look at the value that we're offering, right? So we're saying, hey, you might want to do this. If we do this, if we move you to ACH, it's going to make your AP staff more productive. You're going to save money. Wouldn't that be nice? So there are ways to collaborate. It just takes some effort, but you have to have that trust, right? You have to have that open and honest communication. You can't combative, and you can't have your saying in disputes that you might have. So take care of your team and your AP team and your treasury. You need to communicate. You want to maintain positivity and engagement. Again, be creative. Some of the things I've seen during COVID, you can have virtual workout sessions, you can have virtual gaming. We've had Family Feud, we've had virtual cooking, we've had a virtual magician. So there's ways to be creative. And then you can motivate your team with these challenges as well. You can have fitness challenges, you can have karaoke, you can do online gaming. And then, so let's take care of our team. And I think COVID has taught us to be more mindful of that. So that's one positive things. You want to prioritize internal communication. And so we need to be on top of those more than ever to make sure that we are collaborating with each other. We need to ensure business continuity and provide the same level of service to our customers, right? So I know things have changed. They're going to continue to change. So we need to be able to, again, we need to have that customer service mentality. We need to make sure that our disputes are addressed quickly and tasks are offloaded to the right members. And so if someone on my team is the queen of getting disputes managed, let's say how we can leverage her to cross-train, and then visibility to all dispute or escalation calls. That's more important now than ever, especially with sales. Of course, AR should never have an escalation call with a customer. That should be coming from sales or from the CFO. And so let's make sure that we're all aware of those and we're not getting blindsided in any area of Treasury or across the office of the CFO. You should reassess your AR situation. I'm sure all of you have been doing this, but let's just keep on doing this. And if you're not doing it, let's start. You need to look at your customer categories, aging balance, at-risk cash, understand what cash can be realistically collected. You might be doing this on a weekly basis. So let's focus our efforts, right, in places where we can get that cash, especially if we're a net borrower. Identify the customers you should talk to and customers you can talk to, right? Especially on the AR side. Sometimes our sales guys have a close relationship. We have to be very careful, right? We might not know what's going on there, and so we might have they should put notes. You can communicate within these systems now. Don't call XYZ. I've been talking to them every day. What happens? Your sales guy has made a deal. Smooth things over. Here comes your AR email. Where's my money? Where's my money? I'm gonna no. Yikes! That's not good. It happens. So we need to be mindful of that. We need that visibility. and then identify which customers are most at risk for much slower or no payment. And sometimes, again, it can be temporary, but then you don't want to let them get away with the excuse it's just COVID either. But we need to stay on top of that. And then your focus, some of these things we've already gone over, a few things that we haven't really touched on yet. Work with customers and interim payments that allow them to work through the impacts. Again, let's be a business partner. Crisis timing, crisis are when relationships are forged, and act like an actual business partner. This is the last time you want to start treating people like a transaction. I myself have been treated like a transaction over the past 4 or 5 months, and it's not appreciated. Yeah, other things we can do, move our customers to e-invoicing, which is going to make us more efficient, helps us function in the remote environment, lowers your admin costs, delivery time, provide your customers more time to process and resolve any invoice related issues. Again, we can facilitate our customer payments, early discounts. We can again, proactively negotiate. Again, actions speak louder than words. Let's support our customers. And then you may do well to adjust your collection strategy. Should be doing this on a dynamic basis anyway. Focus on collection cash you can, and focused on that objective. Suspend your usual. You might have to suspend your usual activity and get people refocused, but you need to make sure that when you make changes, you go back. So what is the next normal, right? How do you redefine that? How does that change if we go back into the office? Target the highest amounts to be collected, customers most at risk by industry, payer ratings, and past due. And so again, this technology can really allow us to focus our team on things that are going to have the biggest impact. And there's actually AI out there that helps us learn, right? And certain customers, they need a phone call. They need an email every 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So what is the best way? Again, if you're going to communicate with your customers, you should have a desired action and you should track that action. If I go into that customer account, I should see every time anyone has communicated with them in any manner, phone call, email, left a voicemail, and that's how you build those customer relationships. And that's really, you always want to have growth with new customers, but every time you see what's the key to CFO success, we want to deepen our relationships with customers. Guess what? You have to have an actual relationship with your customer. You have to have gone through battles and wars with them and supported your customers. And I know you can say, I can't support every customer, and maybe that's true, but you need to really take a hard look at the customers you can and could support, and you know, and then you should also you know, put your hat on and think, okay, I may be on the other side of this at some point. So let's look at the bottom line for AR success. Pretty similar to AP. In-depth understanding of your AR operations. Again, let's not manage things in silos. Define AR success, monitor and manage it. Invest in customer relationships. Again, invest in relationships within AR and Treasury. Understand and manage the impacts that AR actions have on customer relationships. Invest in the right people with the right skills and make sure you have the right technology. You want better visibility for your senior management. Balance expectation with your business objectives. Ensure collaboration across the office of the CFO, and then you need to continue to empower and engage your remote workforce. And so to me, if I could go back in the time machine, 1985, Michael J. Fox, this sounds nerdy, but I'd take some of these presentations I'm doing right now, I'm giving to myself, just especially these ones on the bottom line of success. How do I deliver success? And then what are these bottom line things that I can do? And these can apply to each and every company. So let's dive in a little bit about cash forecasting done right, and we'll just take it to the bottom line there. Again, to me, we need to focus we need to shift our focus on to the how and why of cash inflows as opposed to what happens. So we definitely want to have visibility in our bank accounts. We definitely want to get great reporting from our banks. We need to focus on the how and the why. When I continue to look at research, what's the cause of variance? And of course, this year it's going to be even more. It's accounts receivable, right? That's driving those variants. It could be on the AP side. And then some of the other miscellaneous cash flows, they might be causing variance because we're not in the loop. So we need to be in the loop in terms of capital expenditures, mergers and acquisitions. And so it's not that we don't have control over those at our company. We don't have visibility into them. People don't understand that is important. And so AR is definitely a place that I would suggest we focus, and when we start looking at those variants, especially for 2020, I would imagine you'll see they're coming from AR. There's a lot of technology and best practices out there to help you in that area. You need to understand the purpose of your forecast, right? You can have that short-term forecast or that longer-term forecast. The accuracy of your forecast depends on the duration, but also the importance of it is a little bit dependent on whether or not you're a net borrower or not, right? And the other part of the accuracy piece is if it doesn't impact your decisions, then you shouldn't be trying to get to 80 or 90, 95% accuracy, because what's the value to you, right? What's the cost of doing that versus time spent on more value-add activities? Is it impacting your decisions? If yes, then okay, what's the value doing that? If no, then you're not going to win a gold star if you go to the AFP conference and say you have 90% accuracy on your forecast. Because in all honesty, if you told me, I'd say I really don't care. Now, can you tell me how much that accuracy of forecast is related to the effectiveness of your decisions? Does that improve your decision making? Did going from 75 to 90% impact your bottom line by $1 million? And then you're my hero, right? So let's be careful on those measures. Understand your data. Of course, we need to work closely with AP and AR if you're in Treasury. And this sixth one is really important. Identify and engage professional colleagues who face similar cash forecasting challenges. LinkedIn is a way to make some of those connections. You usually have to take those offline. They've kind of ruined a lot of what LinkedIn could have been. The virtual conferences are getting a little bit better. I delivered a full-blown virtual conference where we have networking, and so I think online communities might come back, but there's always a way. If you want to find a colleague that has faced a similar cash forecasting challenge as you are, please let me know. We'll have a 10-minute call on LinkedIn, and I think I can get you connected with someone. And you want to invest in the right technology and the right solution partner, right? You're like, wow, this is a lot of content, but that's okay, because it's all incredibly valuable, and you can have access to the slides, and you can have access to the recording, and you can have access to my time anytime you like in terms of any of these topics. So real important, which I don't see on webinars, recommendations for actions, how to own your cash conversion cycle. 5, commit to understanding your new AP and AR challenges, right? In the remote reality, we need to promote productive agility in any environment. We need to be able to control that cash conversion cycle in any environment. And part of that also means business dynamics, right? As we do M&A activity, as we go into different countries, as we go across borders, right? Let's make sure we have that control in place. And sometimes we have to give up a little bit of control, but we need to be mindful of what that looks like. We should have a customer service-led mentality for AP and AR, right? And all parties involved in AP and AR processes. We need to facilitate collaboration within the office of the CFO. We need to invest in cash forecasting done right, but we have to look at the business case, right, for doing that. And then you need to invest in the technology with the provider or providers, because you deserve to take more ownership of your cash conversion cycle, and you deserve to have a provider that treats you like a relationship, not a transaction. Again, we're in the world of the cloud, and so it's an incredibly different environment. Let me go ahead and launch our final polling question as I wrap things up with a few closing comments here. So one of the things that I want to do is, first of all, those of you who are interested in receiving CTP credits, you'll have to answer all the questions. This is our last polling question. Those of you who are not interested in CPT credits, we would love you to answer the questions, and I appreciate you staying with me. Almost every single person through this entire time. I know it's quite a bit of information. I hope it was incredibly valuable to you as well. I want to let everybody know that the inaugural Treasury and Finance virtual forum we delivered in September was a great success. So if you did not make it this year, we hope you'll be able to make it. In 2021, we already have the registration page live. We were far from perfect. We've learned quite a few things. I actually have a YouTube video I'm happy to share with you what we did right and a lot of things that we can do better, but we are definitely ahead of the game in terms of offering an experience that allows you to get everything that you got at a live event and more. We just have to do a little bit better job, of educating you on the platform that we are going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and close the polling question here in a few seconds. All right. So again, the registration is open for the virtual forum. Once again, we're going to have an incredible mix of content. A lot of people love the content mix. We had professional development, we had leadership, and of course we had all the tactical ways to deliver more value in treasury and finance. We also had 10-minute power sessions, which allow people to get things like 10 ways AR done right impacts the bottom line. Also had some amazing interactive town hall roundtables as well. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for attending our webinar today. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you out in any way going forward. Thank you very much, everyone. Make the rest of your day great.